Welcome, 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 everyone. I am so delighted to see each of you here as we gather to celebrate the Wells International Foundation's 10th anniversary, a full decade of impact, inspiration, and intentional leadership. Whether you've been part of the journey from the very beginning or are joining us for the very first time today, thank you so much for being here. This milestone is truly a community celebration, and your presence means so much to us. A little housekeeping and participation notes so everybody knows what to expect and you can lean in and receive. Before we begin, I just want to make sure that you have a few quick notes to help our time together flow smoothly. Number one, we are recording today's event, as you may have noticed, and today's event is being recorded and will be shared publicly on our website, YouTube channel, and social media. So with that in mind, please be mindful of your camera and audio settings throughout. Questions and comments. If you have any questions or reflections or things that you would like to be able to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can add them into the chat and I can get them all together. We'll also be gathering and sharing those things after the presentation. And so we'll make sure that any questions you have or any reflections or celebrations that you want to add to the conversation are going to be shared at that time as we come to the end of the slides. And getting to that piece, the community share. After the slides and the formal presentation, we'd love to hear from you because this is a community celebration. So you'll have the chance to unmute, share a few words, ask a question, get any clarifications on what we have done or what we're planning to do in our next 10 years ahead. So feel free to put your questions in the chat if you want. I can gather those or hold on to it when we get to that part of today's celebration, because we are so happy to have you as part of that and we want to have your voice in the mix. And so without further ado, I'm going to transition us into the next piece. And it is my honor to introduce the woman whose vision and leadership brought this foundation and this incredible community to life. And that is Dr. Monique Y. Wells. She is the founder and CEO of the Wells International Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering individuals and communities through education, cultural exchange, and sustainable development. Her leadership has inspired partnerships, programs, and impact across continents, from Paris to Houston and beyond. And we can see that with all of your beautiful faces here today. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Monique Y. Wells as she leads us through today's celebration and the reflections on this remarkable 10-year journey.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you so much, Deb. For those of you who don't know Deb, Deborah Harlow is the Wells International Foundation's, excuse me, donor relations manager, chief marketing officer, chief people officer, and right side of my body. I would not be here today if it weren't for Deb. WIF would not be where it is today if it weren't for Deb. We are a mighty duo. And so at the core, and then we have our board and everyone else who is supporting us throughout these 10 years of service. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to share my screen right now so that I can actually welcome you to the party. We are celebrating 10 years of service. And for those of you, oh no, come on now. There we go. For those of you who don't know the history of WIF, we're going to go through a little bit of our history. This is not going to be a long presentation. This is going to be just a really lively hitting of the highlights of what has happened since our inception. Our anniversary date, as you can see on this slide, is October 1st, 2015. So we celebrated our 10th anniversary just a few weeks ago. We have 5 strategic focus areas that we're working in WIF or at WIF: the arts, STEAM education, literacy, travel, study abroad, and women's empowerment. We launched in 2016. So we were founded on October 1st, 2015, and it took us several weeks and months to prepare for the launch of our inaugural event, which was an art exhibition that took place in Paris, France. Original artworks of the artist Buford Delaney. The show was called Buford Delaney, Resonance of Form and Vibration of Color, We held it at Columbia Global Center's Reed Hall, which is a space that is owned by Columbia University. And quite serendipitously, we launched 3 of our 5 strategic focus areas with this show. Obviously, the arts was our focus, but very serendipitously, we also launched our STEAM education and our travel study abroad initiatives. We also launched in 2016 our women's empowerment strategic focus area. And that was through what we call the LCC workshop. LCC stands for Leadership, Communication, and Creativity. We are serving women leaders in all domains across the globe. And we are helping them to tune into their essence, their beautiful, pure soul essence, their heart essence, and joining all that with the power of the mind to make them the most effective, influential, and impactful leaders that they can be. You see that this sort of logo at the bottom of the screen, there is a little wax stamp that has the letter and the initial L cubed, or letter and number L cubed. L cubed stands for lifestyle, legacy, and leading by example. And we're going to be talking a lot about that a little bit more later. In 2017, we launched our literacy initiative in Houston. That's our hometown, our home base. We partnered with the Houston Public Library to do our first readathon called People in Pajamas in 2017. And we did a second one after the debacle of the Hurricane Harvey, and there was a second hurricane that came through Houston. But the point of People in Pajamas was to introduce young people in this underserved, under-resourced neighborhood of Sunnyside in Houston, to introduce our youth to the joy, the love of reading, to show them that the library can be a fun place to go, and to encourage their parents to understand that reading aloud to children is important. So you can see here a scene from that first People in Pajamas event at the Johnson Public Library in Houston. Fruits of our launch. So we've already talked about our 5 strategic focus areas. With regard to the Buford Delaney exhibition that we did, all of these little circles that you see were the fruit of that exhibition. So we have an augmented reality project that brought students from the University of Arizona to Paris to create an app that worked with the art in our exhibition. And those students, there were 6 of them, 5 of those 6 students got their first passport to come to Paris, and they got to come twice for this program. They got to come to actually create the app, and they got to come back in 2016 to introduce it in public to the audience. Over 300 people came out to the opening, and they got to introduce their work at that event. We had educators, K through 12 educators from the US come and learn how to integrate Buford Delaney's art into the teaching of science and math. We started our summer internship program thanks to this exhibition. We worked very hard on an itinerant version of the exhibition, which is still 10 years later in the works. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to pull that one off quite well, but still, it was something that we worked on for several years after. There were several things that happened in Buford's hometown of Knoxville, thanks to this exhibition. 11 people from Knoxville, Tennessee flew to Paris to see this show. And one of the things that happened was a woman who was one of the trustees of the Knoxville Museum of Art started a program called the Delaney Gathering Light, the Delaney Project. And one of the first things she did was take Buford Delaney's art into a school in an under-resourced neighborhood in Knoxville. We had the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, one of the students there do an art and science research project. In Knoxville, Tennessee, a very small opera company created an opera about Buford. And a woman who is an American but who lives in the south of France wrote a play about him, and that play was read on stage in Paris as a result, again, of this show. We have students studying Buford Delaney through the lens of mental health and illness from the Kentucky Institute of International Studies. We have the University of Arizona internship program. We have an intern right now from the University of Arizona who is moving the Buford Delaney blog off of Blogger and onto a dedicated platform. And we have the Class Duo program, which unified students, elementary school students, 7 to 10 years old in Knoxville, Tennessee, with 7 to 10-year-old students in Paris, France, through a 2-year curriculum based on Buford's life in art. And those Knoxville students actually came to Paris in 2018 to meet their French counterparts. So just very, 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 very prolific results and impact from that first exhibition. For our literacy launch in 2017, we have done book giveaways in Houston. We supported the Bloom Academy, which was a brand new charter school at the time that we did our exhibition. We actually met the head of school at the first readathon. At the first readathon, and she actually read at our second readathon. And we gave over 1,000 books to that school to support their classroom libraries. All the other schools that you see here and community service organizations, we have given books to over the years. Memphis, Tennessee, Bronx, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston again, San Francisco, California, Newark, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, and Elkins Park, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. We have given books to schools and community service organizations in all of those areas. Oops, sorry. From our LCC workshop, we did 2 of those. We launched our Successful Woman 2-day conference and retreat in Paris in 2019. You can see images of the Park Hyatt Hotel, which is where we held the event. And at the bottom, you can see just very representative photos of what went on during those 2 days. We did an evening event at the Yves Saint Laurent Museum. That's why you see models or mannequins rather with Yves Saint Laurent fashions in the center. But the pictures on the left and right are actually photos of the event itself. And women who attended that event really experienced life-changing revelations. And actually, one of them I will mention, one of our current board members, Shelley Bradford Bell, actually took the step to move to Paris after having attended that event. So 2019, the Successful Woman, 2020, COVID-19 pandemic. So many nonprofits bit the dust, so to speak. They had to cease operation because of COVID. We managed with a lot of effort to not only survive, but to thrive. We put together an online art exhibition called COVID-19 Pages, The Influence and Inspiration of Women, which was all about the struggle of women during COVID to keep it all together all around the world. Women were at the front lines, defending their communities against COVID, lifting people up during COVID, at the same time that they were the most adversely affected by COVID. And we gathered professional women artists from 5 countries around the world to contribute to this online exhibition, which is still actually online today. I'll ask Deb, or I will myself put the link into the chat a little bit later. But that was an absolutely phenomenal online event. And then we did a second portion, which brought together schools and community organizations that served youth. And they also contributed to this exhibition. Absolutely phenomenal. Out of that, we did a 4-day online event called Art and Conversation, which was all about the idea that we can use art as a source of healing. And that was absolutely fantastic as well. We actually got an accommodation from the city of Houston for doing this work with the COVID-19 Pages exhibition. Then to talk about travel and study abroad. In 2020, WIF partnered with is the Wells International Foundation, WIF for short. We partnered with the for-profit organization that my husband and I run called Entree to Black Paris, and we created the Entree to Black Paris Cultural Awareness Program, and we kicked that off in 2020. So we're celebrating 5 years of that this autumn, 5 years strong for Entree to Black Paris Cultural Awareness. And through this program, we serve primarily high schoolers and middle schoolers, um, giving them a Paris experience so that they can understand what it is to travel abroad, what it is to go to a city that would be presumably absent with regard to Black history, culture, and contemporary life, and feeding all of that lovely information to these youth so that from a very young age, they can get the idea that yes, they can travel abroad, they can leave the United States and go other places. And yes, they themselves are represented in other places. And our most impactful um, activity through Entree to Black Paris Cultural Awareness was the creation of the virtual Black Paris experience. Again, we're in COVID, people can't travel. And with the partnership of the Paris, Priceless Parties Plus, which is an organization out of Atlanta, Georgia, Entree to Black Paris, and the Wells International Foundation, we came together to put together this luscious online experience of a walking tour that was created specifically for this purpose. And I have to give a shout out to Oliver G, who is an Australian, a white Australian man who lives in Paris, who has a podcast called The Earful Tower. So a play on Eiffel Tower. He asked me to do a, he asked me to support a fundraiser that he wanted to do for an organization because remember, shortly after COVID broke, we had the murder of George Floyd. And Oliver wanted to do something to support an organization that supported Black Lives Matter. And his client base, he's an influencer, and his podcast is extremely powerful. His community advised them to contact me, and he asked me to do a walking tour to support an organization that supported Black Lives Matter. And he asked me who he should support. You know, he's new to this, but he wants to help. And I said, well, you know, I'm not sure. I don't know you. We were just meeting. There are lots of things out there. Just Google and, you know, figure out who you want to support. And within 24 hours, he got back to me and he said, I want to support the Wells International Foundation. I think what you're doing is awesome. And we did this walk, and he raised over $11,000 for us in that 2 hour period that he live streamed the walk that I did with him. And he very graciously put that on YouTube, and he said, you can do with this whatever you want. And this is what we have used for the virtual Black Paris experience. So we're well past COVID now, obviously, and people want to do things live. But we have used the virtual Black Paris experience as a fundraising tool for organizations. So if that is something of interest to you, contact me and we can talk. Another thing that sort of not really coming out of the pandemic, but that was launched as we were coming out of the pandemic was the Youth Veterinarian Initiative. For those of you who don't know, I am a veterinary pathologist and toxicologist. And I was partnering with Sharita Herring of Philanthropy Alliance Foundation. She is actually the person who coached me to launch the Wells International Foundation 10 years ago. And she has her own nonprofit, and she's living on a farm in Arkansas. And she was really wanting to reach out to youth to expose them to the field of veterinary medicine and other animal-oriented fields. And so we collaborated on the Youth Veterinarian Initiative that was launched in the summer of 2021. And we are going strong with YVI ever since. Post-pandemic, clearly post-pandemic, we have the pleasure and privilege of working with an organization called Going Global with Barbara. And I believe Barbara is on the call right now. So I'm going to ask you, Barbara, to come off mute if is she there?
I am here. Good morning.
Yes, yes, yes. So I have to, I want you, I'm going to say just a couple of words and then I want you to just sort of chime in about our collaboration on the work that you are doing to bring African American high schoolers and with a few middle schoolers sprinkled in to Paris to have a cultural immersion experience and also to consider the possibility of doing their undergraduate education abroad.
Well, thank you. I think the first thing I have to say is how grateful I am for our partnership with the Wells International Foundation. This was a very ambitious undertaking for someone like me with no background in youth travel. But I had a vision of something that I thought was important. And I reached out to Dr. Wells, and she graciously and generously, from the very beginning, came alongside us to help us plant roots in Paris for this program. And I could not be more grateful. We have now traveled with over 100 travelers, from students mostly from underserved neighborhoods, communities, schools, where they are not just first time passport holders, but in many cases, first generation passport holders. So it's a big deal. And it has a big impact. And we're so thankful to have the opportunity to partner in this important way. So our students come from all across the nation. We teach them 6 weeks of classes online. These are students for whom no one is talking about study abroad. Virtually no one. They don't know anybody who's ever done it. They may be on the fence about whether college is for them. So this gives them an opportunity to get completely outside their community. And the Wells Foundation has allowed us to build an engaging, high impact program, visiting colleges, networking with expats in Paris through the US Embassy. And again, extremely grateful and that had the benefit and privilege to partner with to the benefit of these students. So thank you.
And it is our privilege as well. Oh, the youth that Barbara is bringing over, they're just magnificent. And she's had a couple of repeat people come into Paris, and she hasn't talked about this, but Barbara also has a Going Global 2.0 that goes to Barcelona. And then beyond that, she will take students to Dakar and Jordan and potentially even South Africa. So Paris is the introduction for these youth to the world, actually.
Absolutely.
Actually. And so on this slide, you also see at the top, you see increasing the participation of Black male youth in international travel and study abroad programs. And Barbara and I also collaborated on this because she was having a lot of difficulty getting young males to sign up for her programs. And we talked about it. And I told her that in my experience with Entree to Black Paris, that even though we had been working with study abroad groups since 1999, I could literally count the number of Black males that have participated in study abroad programs that I had been involved with on my hands and feet. And so we decided to do a series of panel discussions, again, virtual, because our audience is US and Europe, and it's global, actually. We did a series of panel discussions called Increasing the Participation of Black Male Youth in International Travel and Study Abroad. And Barbara, before we had done this program, we did 3 of them in 2024. Our first one was in March, and we focused on the high school student. We did one in June on the college student, and we did one in November. No, I'm sorry, in September on young Black males who either did not want to or could not afford to pursue a 4-year degree, traditional 4-year degree. And after that first panel discussion, in March, Barbara brought her first all-male cohort to Paris in April. And those gentlemen that you see in this photograph, those are they. There's one that's missing. I think he was in the toilet. But there were several. But there were 7 young men who came to Paris that year. And ever since that time, Barbara's cohorts, if they are co-ed, they have been predominantly male. And that is something that is absolutely remarkable across the board. Anyone you talk to about study abroad will tell you that women far outnumber men and white women far outnumber everybody else. So this is, I mean, it's nothing less than miraculous, I will say. All right, so I'm going to go on. Because I'll get carried away. Out of the last event that we did, so even though we focused on high school students in March, we did college students in June, and we did people who would not be going to college in September. Our momentum was building, and we had interest in Philadelphia to have high school students do a sort of like a first step. It's a big thing. If you've never left your city, if you've ever even left your neighborhood, to think about going abroad, that's just huge. And for some people, it's just too big of a gap, right? But we thought, well, maybe we can just sort of ease them into it. And maybe we can have Philadelphia students go up to Newark, to the international airport there. And the reason that we chose Newark is because we have board member Anthony Fleet, who you see kneeling there in the front of this picture. And he was also in the back in the orange in this picture. Anthony is employed by United Airlines. He is a native Philadelphian. At the time, he was commuting between Philadelphia and Newark to do his hub communications work at Newark Liberty. And he's like, we are always welcoming students from the Newark area to the airport. Why can't we welcome Philadelphia students? And so we put together what has emerged as the Philadelphia Aviation Project. And Anthony, I think you're here. So why don't you come off mute and talk about that?
Yes, happy to. Thank you for the introduction. And before I get into it, let me just say how grateful I am to be a part of this organization. And for all of you joining today at whatever time it is, wherever you are, we really, really appreciate it. You could be doing anything on a Saturday. So we're really happy you're deciding to spend some time with us. So thank you for that. It's actually quite apropos to be talking about studying abroad and travel in this forum, considering I actually met Monique in Paris while I was studying abroad as a graduate student back in 2017. So just to kind of come full circle like this is truly incredible. That was my first time leaving the country, and I just know the profound experience and impact and effects of that experience have had on me, and I know that I can have on so many other people if they're just given the opportunity. And so that's what we, in this context, are trying to provide. Is just give people that opportunity, show people that it's possible, especially showing young people that there are people who look just like them who are having these experiences. And you don't need to be born with it. I certainly was not born with it. I didn't get on an airplane until I was 22 years old, and that was to go visit Northwestern, which is where I went to graduate school. And so, fast forward a few years later, I'm working for an airline, and I say it all the time, but it's like I'm on a plane probably more than I'm in my own car. So it just goes to show like how fast and how like just how much things can open up if you just are given that experience, given that opportunity. So to narrow in on what we did in Newark, as Monique mentioned, I am with United Airlines. I spent nearly the past 3 years working at our hub in Newark. And like she said, we bring in a lot of youth, and living in Philly, being from Philly, I certainly wanted to give that opportunity for Philly area youth. And so that's exactly what we did last year. I brought the group who you see in the photo there to our terminal in Terminal C at Newark. We brought them on an aircraft. They were able to sit in the flight deck. They were able to sit in the first class, in the business class seats that we have on one of our big planes. That plane that they were on was actually going to Tokyo later that day. So like literally they were on one of our planes that was absolutely going to be flying. They got to meet with aviation professionals in our operations tower, pilots, flight attendants, because that's the other thing. When you think of working for an airline, you think of flight attendants, you think of pilots, you think of the gate agents, and there's just so much more to having a career in aviation than just those three jobs. And while those three jobs are great, there's so much more that people can do because not everybody either wants to be or can be a pilot, a flight attendant, or a customer service rep, what we call a gate agent. So just giving those students that opportunity to kind of see for themselves and hear from professionals, especially professionals who look like them and can relate with them at a much more personal level, was exactly what we wanted to accomplish. And we had a great time. We spent about 6 hours at the airport that day, just moving all over the place, showing them things. They were able to look at all of our planes. They were able to get sort of literally their hands on kind of what we do and how we operate as the biggest airline in the world, United, in that capacity at one of our busiest hubs. And so just a really great experience for them. And we like it so much, we're going to do it again. So coming up November 14th, Friday, November 14th, I will bring a group of students back from Philadelphia to Newark Airport to have sort of the 2.0 experience. And we're just going to keep the good momentum rolling with this, just continue to show our youth all the opportunities that exist in aviation and all the possibilities that can come just with an experience of either traveling abroad or hopefully studying abroad. So unless folks have questions or want to know more, I will pause there.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Anthony right now, or even for Barbara at this point? I'm looking at my watch. Yes. Anybody? You see anybody, Deb?
Not yet, but I'll keep an eye on the chat and we definitely will bring it up during a Q&A time.
Okay. All right. So going on then. So for the Youth Veterinarian Initiative, I have had the pleasure, and by the way, Youth Veterinarian Initiative is our STEAM education. For those of you who don't know, STEAM, STEAM, is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. I think everyone has heard of STEM, but that does not include the arts. And because we launched with an arts program and we understand the importance of including the arts in STEM, because that creative side of your brain helps you use your logical brain much better. And so, very long story short, we were able to, this is again post-pandemic, able to collaborate with two nonprofit organizations, Mindfulness and STEAM Lab and Frankie's Corner Little Thoroughbred Crusade, to create a program which we have launched this year called Mindfulness with the Majestics. So the Majestics refer to horses, equines, and mindfulness refers to the idea that one needs to be aware of one's personal emotional state and be able to advocate for one's emotional health. And that's a very, 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 very brief description of what this program is all about. It is part of the Youth Veterinarian Initiative because while we are reaching out to Black and Brown youth to encourage them to become veterinarians, to at least consider the idea of becoming a veterinarian or working in some other animal-oriented field, it is also our responsibility to tell these youth that veterinary medicine is a very stressful career and that veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates among professionals. And so while the career is magnificent and it opens up infinite possibilities for you, it is also something that can really drain you if you are not careful. And so while we are encouraging youth to pursue this, we are also encouraging youth to pay attention to, learn how to tune into their mental and emotional health, learn how to advocate for it. And when they find themselves in a less than optimal situation, learn how to self-correct or at least ask for help in that correction. And so that's what Mindfulness with the Majestics is all about. Horses are mirrors of humans. With regard to their emotional state, a horse will mirror you to the T. And so working with a horse is a way to see, even if you're not willing to see yourself, the horse will tell you how you're feeling and what you're doing. And so this is what Mindfulness with the Majestics is all about. We did a pilot on Juneteenth in Michigan, and we are getting ready to roll that program out in other areas in Michigan, yes, and in other areas of the country. And I will talk more about what we're going to do with that when we get to what WIF is going to do for the future. But Mindfulness with the Majestics was launched this year, 2025. All right. So I just want to give a nod to all the corporations and privately owned businesses that have supported us. Right here, you see a very small subset of the companies, entrepreneurial or corporate, that have supported us over the years. At the bottom, it says this is by no means an exhaustive list, and that's the truth. But the organizations that you see here have really been instrumental in supporting our arts and our STEAM initiatives above all, and our travel and study abroad. All right. And so now to go on to where we are going. I mentioned the LCC workshop and the Successful Woman with regard to our women's empowerment strategic focus area. We had already in this month, earlier this month, we had an event in Houston. Again, Houston is our hometown. We had a women's circle that brought together women leaders of all stripes. It was absolutely magnificent. And from that, we are launching in our 11th year of service, we are launching a membership program called Be Your Authentic Self in Business, which is all about women's empowerment. It is about supporting women, again, very holistically, helping them marry the powerful computer that's in our head to the hearth of our heart and the wisdom of our intuition, so that we become the most effective women leaders that we can be. I firmly believe that women will be the salvation of this world if we have enough women in leadership who know how to do what I have just described. The world will be an infinitely better place. And so 2026, Be Your Authentic Self in Business. We will be launching that officially as of November of this year. With the Youth Veterinarian Initiative, Mindfulness with the Majestics I just spoke about, I did not mention when I introduced the program that there is a sound bowl therapy component. When I talked about the companies or the nonprofits that we're partnering with, Frankie's Corner is all about the equine assisted learning, and Mindfulness and STEAM supplies the sound bowl therapy. We have actually already introduced sound bowl therapy to Michigan State University. They have an animal and veterinary science program every summer. We have introduced that to them over the past 2 summers. Next summer, we are going to do a full Mindfulness with the Majestics program for the Michigan State University 4-H Animal and Veterinary Science Summer Camp. And we are going to do that elsewhere as well. And we have the ambition to take this program to Dublin, Ireland in 2027. Dublin is a very, very equine focused city. Dublin is surprisingly, for people who don't know, surprisingly diverse. And Dublin does a lot of work in youth emotional support. So this is the perfect place for us to marry our STEAM education and our travel and study abroad initiatives. It's something that we do well at WIF. Whenever we can, we incorporate multiple strategic focus areas into any project or program. I'm going to Elevate Aviation program. We decided to, because we want to expand the Philadelphia Aviation program into other cities, we decided that we needed an overarching name for this program, and we came up with the term Elevate. And so, as you see here, it's exposing Black youth to aviation and global career opportunities across the US in partnership with United Airlines. And we are actively looking to expand that program into Houston, again, our home base, in 2026. I was in Houston um, just a few weeks ago. And at the same time as I attended the Women's Circle, I also met with a couple of gentlemen who are very interested in launching, or at least helping us to launch the aviation program in Houston. And I also have my eye on the Dallas-Fort Worth area because I have a second cousin who is a pilot for American Airlines. And Anthony, even though he is a United Airlines person, is looking to make collaboration with other airlines. Anthony, you want to come off mute and talk just a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Of course, when it comes to the business of aviation, it's very, very competitive. But when it comes to giving various youth these kinds of experiences, there's no competition. This is something that aviation as a whole can really lean into. Um, Also, just being realistic about which airlines are present in which cities and markets. And so we want to make sure that, the prominent airline in a particular market is aware of and able to allocate resources to help support youth in their communities. Because I think all of us across the industry want to do that in some form or fashion. And this is a really great way for us to do that. And so it goes beyond even commercial carriers. You saw FedEx in the previous slide. They are leaned into this journey as well. And if you um, talk to people in the industry, professionals in the industry, especially Black professionals, they are all about doing this. And again, it's about how do we show up as an industry to support youth. And with that, there is absolutely no competition. Hopefully, it'll develop into a friendly competition of who can do the most, in their particular market. How can we engage the most youth and provide these really great experiences?
Absolutely, absolutely. So American has a hub in Dallas-Fort Worth, and Dallas-Fort Worth is, I guess it's relative, but it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Houston. So I am perfectly happy to get on up there and talk with people and see how we can get this going. And Anthony can fly anywhere he wants with United. I mean, that's really one of the biggest perks for working with an international airline is that you can fly anywhere at no cost, as long as it fits into your schedule. So, yeah.
And as long as there's an open seat on the plane,
There you go.
for us freeloaders. So if everybody pays for a seat, then I'm out of luck. But even if there's one open seat, I can grab it.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, for people who fly standby, yeah, y'all are.
Yep, not for
I
the
don't
faint of
have the.
heart. That's for
It's
sure.
not. I don't have the chops for that. All right. So let's go on. This is for our last big project that we're going to be doing in this first year of our second decade of service is the Buford Delaney project. So we're coming full circle around to Buford Delaney. Buford Delaney is pictured, if you look at the collage here, the black and white photograph of the Black man there, that is Buford Delaney. Was taken in 1953, a couple of weeks before he set sail on the SS Liberty for France. And he spent the last 26 years of his life in Paris. And he spent the last 4 of those 26 years in a mental hospital here. And there's a very long story about how I came to know Buford Delaney. We don't have time for that. I will say, just in passing, that I have just launched a professional speaking activity for myself that supports WIF and it supports Entree to Black Paris. And one of my prime topics of conversation is Buford Delaney. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, we can talk. But the Buford Delaney project is brand new. I mentioned very briefly that there is a Buford Delaney blog that is housed on Blogger right now. It will be 16 years old in December. And we are moving that blog, which was launched by a French nonprofit that I founded called Les Amis de Buford Delaney. That means Friends of Buford Delaney. We are moving that blog over to a platform that WIF is responsible for. And that platform is going to be called the Buford Delaney Project. And not only will the blog be housed there, and the blog is active, by the way, I still blog every Saturday about Buford Delaney, unless I'm on vacation or something, but 99% of the time, every Saturday, there is a new blog about him, his work, or some aspect of something that connects with him. And this platform is going to be a digital hub for not only the blog, but also digital stories that are produced by people. And when I say people, I'm primarily thinking of students who will travel to Paris to walk in Buford Delaney's footsteps. Entree to Black Paris offers 2 Buford Delaney walking tours. We also offer a James Baldwin walking tour. And if you know anything about Buford, you know that he was a mentor of James Baldwin and that you cannot talk about one man without talking about the other. There is also a trip out to the cemetery where Buford Delaney is buried outside of Paris. And so people who come to Paris and create digital stories, those stories can be housed on this platform. And I'm sort of going backwards. I'm going from the bottom bullet up. We are going to establish a network of Buford Delaney scholars in collaboration with multiple universities, starting with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Again, Buford is from Knoxville, Tennessee, or was from Knoxville, Tennessee. And we are working right now with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville on a study abroad program that will bring students over here to do what I just described. We are working with the University of Arizona to supply the digital tools and educate the students about how to use those tools so that they can create their stories that will be housed on this blog, on this platform. And for the Buford Delaney scholars, we are looking to set up a scholarship fund. And so we are looking for students, and these will be graduate students or postdocs who are looking at Buford Delaney from various educational aspects, disciplines. Obvious ones are Black African American studies, LGBTQ studies. Buford was a gay man, as was James Baldwin. Art history, very, very obvious, but less obvious fields of study where we feel that students can be enriched by looking at Buford's life in art are art therapy. I mentioned that he spent the last 4 years of his life in a mental hospital here, and all during his life, he painted to quell the inner voices that tormented him. We have cultural geography / travel and tourism, which speaks directly to what the University of Tennessee Knoxville students will be doing. And we also have music. Very interestingly, contemporary musicians are composing music after having looked at and experienced Buford Delaney's art. And even the young man who is working on moving the blog over to the WIF platform he is at the University of Arizona. He's our intern right now. He is a cybersecurity major and a hip hop minor. And we are going to have him go out into his hip hop community and encourage people to look at Buford Delaney's art and create music. So with that, I would like to invite you to join us in one or multiple ways as we embark on this fantastic second decade of service. We are always looking for volunteers. We are always looking for volunteer board members. All of our board members are volunteer. And I cannot thank WIF's board enough for the tireless, passionate service that they have given to support this organization. Above all, we would be nothing without our board. We are looking for community advocates. People have said to me, well, I can't be on the board, but I can help you in other ways. Let me go out and talk in my network about this, that, and the other. We are very, very welcoming of that. And of course, we are looking for investors. And by investors, we mean individual donors, we mean corporate sponsors, and we mean grant makers. We have enjoyed funding from all of those sources in the past. We want to continue to have funding from all of those sources in the future. And if you're interested in any of that or all of it, then contact me at wells@wells-international-foundation.org to express your interest. With that, I am going to stop my share so we can see each other. And Deb, you can take any questions.
All right. I think everybody was so enraptured in having their own memories and moments of all the different things, because I know many of the faces that are here today have been with us for quite some time. So if you needed to catch any of the links or things in the chat, feel free to do so. And now at this point, we're in the like full party. So if you want to come on camera and you want to come off mute, if you have a memory, if you have a question, if you want clarification, this is the time for that. Teresa, then
Yay!
then, hey, Milan's here too. Milan's hiding.
Okay.
So by all means, please join us. We'd love to hear your voice and love to hear. So is it Deborah or Deborah? I see your hand up there. So please feel free to come
Deborah.
up. Deborah, I love it. Welcome.
I just am excited to learn of your organization. I was referred to you to Monique by Roxanne Chagua, who is a friend of hers. I am the national president of the Society Incorporated, which is an organization serving the arts in the United States. And we have 35 chapters, and we are all over. And we do STEM programming. And of course, the arts is the heart of what we do. And you spoke to so many of our 5 creative areas that we work in, that I am just excited to learn more and talk to you directly. Monique, Roxanne and I have had some conversations. We do have an active chapter in the Houston area, as well as some of the other cities that you are already functioning in. So as a national president, I'm just happy and delighted. This was was early in the morning for me in Los Angeles, but it was the best time to get up and to be enlightened. And I had an opportunity when I was in high school to travel abroad. When I was in college, I did my junior year in Spain at the University of Salamanca. So I'm a firm believer in going abroad and expanding your horizons, because if you don't know what's out there, you don't know what life has in store for you, or what you can even look for or hope for, or want to do.
Exactly.
It's so much a bigger world, and it just enhances you as an individual. And I think that our young people need that level of exposure today with all this going on in our country. We need to be hopeful and continue to build and reach and stretch. And it seems like that's what you're doing. I know that we have a big airport in LA, so I'm excited about the travel piece. United is one of my airlines, so I'm looking forward to seeing how we can connect with that. We have a lot of horses. Young people really do relate to the horses, and a lot of our kids, African American kids, haven't been exposed to certain animals. So all of it's a growing process, and a lot of our chapters are in areas, some more rural than others, where these types of programs will give them a new opportunity to reach out and to serve more young people. So I'm excited.
Fabulous.
I'm excited to have been exposed to you. I just call my friend Roxanne and thank her. And Monique, I look forward to talking to you offline.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I cannot wait. All right.
Love that. And Deborah, I'm in Palm Desert, so I'm just over the hill from you. So if we ever want to get together, we could definitely make that happen.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right, then. That's perfect. Oh, yes. You right over the hill.
I'm right over the hill. It's a mountain. It's a 2.5-hour drive, but I'm right over the hill.
Over the hill. But let me know if you're ever in LA. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
I definitely will. I love that.
Look forward to it.
Yes, indeed. Karen, I see you have your hand raised. Are you able to unmute?
Well, good morning and congratulations, Monique. You are just so amazing. You know, I love you and support you during my time in Paris. And I'm actually in New Jersey because Marion P. Thomas, which, you know, you were involved in a great literacy program. We have our High School of Culinary and Performing Arts, and the students are celebrating their 25th anniversary of the village. And all of the
Oh,
students prepared food and did performances, and we had an art exhibition. And so we want to stay connected to what you're doing. The culinary
okay.
students were able to take last year a trip to Italy, but we still
Okay.
want to do that trip deferred and not denied to Paris. I'm coming back next year in July to be
Okay.
there for an extended period of time. So again, congratulations on all the great work that you're doing. And I look forward to connecting with you and staying connected through the school and through the work that you're doing in Paris.
That is so fantastic. I am so excited. So Karen is talking about a trip deferred. Karen, when she was here before, she raised money for Marion P. Thomas, the culinary high school, to come to Paris, and COVID happened, and we did an online course on how to create a food blog with the intent, and we were going to do a whole program that was going to connect that high school with a culinary high school in Paris, where actually the students are majority Black and we'll say, we would say brown here, but Black and North African students. And we were going to actually it was going to be a whole thing. But because of COVID and because of the restrictions of being out, you couldn't be out after such and such a time on the street. We couldn't do it because of the time difference. And it was just devastating. But I am so excited, Karen, and I am so excited that you're coming back. I
So
can't
we're
wait.
just
I
going to
can't wait.
say delayed and not denied.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes. All right. Fantastic.
I love that. I see Vanessa has her hand up next. Hi, Vanessa.
Good morning. Good morning, Monique. I don't know if you remember me. You were gracious enough to give me an interview when I was in Paris in the summer. I'm a
Yes,
professor at Cal State LA.
yes, I
So thank
remember.
you so much for inviting me. This is wonderful. I love all the great work that you do, and I hope that you connected with our students at Cal State LA, which is great. I just want to say I would love to support your work. I don't know if you remember, but I did my PhD in Dublin, and so I have a lot of connections in Dublin, and so I hope that we could connect, and I hope I could help expand the work that you do in Dublin. I love that you're doing equine therapy. Like that I love horses, and I worked with people who do equine therapy, and so Dublin's a great
Okay.
place to do it. And so please reach out to me, and I hope we connect offline to do that work. So
Oh my
again.
gosh. Yes,
And so great to see you
absolutely.
again. And I'm glad that you reached out to me this week, that I got your email this week. So
Yes,
a
yes,
piece of
yes,
synchropy.
yes. Oh, see, serendipity, serendipity. I love it. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa. I see that Loretta has her hand up next.
Well, yes, Grand Rising, everybody. I mean, I don't come to this with the same idea as you all do, as you all have. I came because originally I was just coming to support my college alumni friend. I have been following her on social media platforms and all the things that she is doing out there in Paris. And it was like, this would be so interesting for me to chime in and see what is going on. Right now, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I am working on this new blogging and podcast where I'm talking about coming out of the shadows into the spotlight, moving from the invisible to the visible. And what I'm wanting to do is to talk to seasoned women about different things on how they're having an impact on leadership, and especially how that can be applied to some of the young women across the board, but especially those in Black and Brown spaces. So, hearing what you are doing and hearing some of the things that you are talking about, then, my dear friend, I would love for us to have a further conversation on how what I'm doing and how what you're doing can kind of come together and do something together. I mean,
Yes.
because I really wish someone had told me a little bit more about studying abroad when I was at school. Only thing
Mhm.
I knew was just trying to get through Penn and get back to the Baltimore, Washington area. But it is just so much more of life that could have been learned then, but it still could be learned now.
It can
So
still be learned.
again, right, delayed but not denied.
There you
So
go.
again, I just think this is so interesting. I have been proud of what you've been doing. I told a lot of people about what you're doing. So I look forward to doing something together. Wednesday, I'm going to Australia to talk to some women over there in regard to what I'm doing. Part fun, but a little bit about what I'm doing. So again, looking at people from other countries and other spaces is something I want to make an impact on. So hopefully we'll get to talk and you could guide me into how I can make this a better opportunity for young people and seasoned people, especially women in general. So thanks so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you, Loretta. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Okay.
We've got
Hi,
Roxy
hi,
next.
yes. Hi, Deborah, thank you. And hi, Monique. So nice to
Hi,
see
Roxy.
both of
Oh
you.
my God, it's been so long.
Yes, of course. And then thank you for this wonderful, wonderful event. And of course, as you know, I'm still living in Ireland too. I finished my PhD, and of course, we will stay in touch. But I will be, of course, very, very happy to be involved, in your event like STEAM, and how to help holistically, because my work is about how to use arts to kind of, reconsider, personal trauma, colonial trauma, and I would love to be involved, in a kind of circle, women's circle empowerment. So it will be, of course, my pleasure, and we will definitely keep in touch. I have to send you lots of things,
Okay.
but really, I mean, thank you for this global approach, of how to stay connected, and yes, so of course, would
Oh
love
my
to
God.
connect in
Oh,
touch.
that's so
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Thank you.
my
Yes,
pleasure.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, reconnecting.
Yeah.
I am going to call out WIF's board chair, Dr. Irma Manoncourt, who is just always even more in the background than I am. Irma, can you come off mute and say a couple of words, please? Are you there? Yes, she is. Yes.
I'm here fighting a cold, so I won't say much. It's amazing to see everybody on this call. I have the honor of working with Monique and Deborah, and delighted to work with Anthony and Anambab, who's not here, and other members of the board. It is a passion. I think we have endless possibilities, and that Monique has guided us during this period of walking on shifting sands. She's really good at that. And I would tell you that she also walks on water and flies without wings. But she has led us in this whole approach that has been described. And we have so many endless possibilities before us. And I think for your participation on the call, it gives us an opportunity to reach out more, to try to explain with others what we're trying to do. It's just the beginning. 10 years is just a drop.
It is. It is. Oh, hearts, hearts, hearts. Let me find my hearts. Where are they? Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God. I love you, Irma. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to call on one other person. Let's see. One other person. I want to call on Teresa Lloyd, because Teresa's a former board member, and we got to see each other again. She was at the Successful Woman in Paris in 2019, as was Irma. Irma was on one of the panels. But Teresa, I just got to see again in Houston at the Women's Circle, and I just would like for you to just say hi and just say a little bit about WIF.
Good day, everyone. I tell you, it's such a pleasure just to listen and hear how far we've come. And then Irma's talking about we're just beginning. Okay, this is fabulous. So I will say that I think I said in Houston, I'm such a hype woman for Dr. Wells. It is truly amazing. And I'll take just that moment to tell the story that I was in California and I got a call from another colleague, and it was only two people that showed up. And I tell you, I was beyond impressed, right? Because I don't really get impressed all that much anymore. But I could tell you the vision of what Monique was trying to do and is doing. I just felt like, oh my God. And then she had collaborated with one of the professors from my alma mater. And it just was a no-brainer, like, okay, well, let me see what this is about. And 10 years later, it's just still here and just saw what our future is looking like. I'm still impressed, or I'm still just your vision. So I will say that from your old college friend to some of the young people who have said some things, and just the impact that you are making. You know, and of course, some of the women's things that we've been doing, and having my daughter, come along and just see some of that stuff. And I mean, that's the gift from me to my daughter, right? Is
Mhm.
to show her some of the circles that and the interests that I have. So I can't tell you enough for, because it could have went left in 10 years.
It
Could have,
could have.
but
It could have gone down the tube.
you are, I mean, you and the folks that are on here and surround you, we really are on a mission, and it is such fun and joy and hard work. But I'm still here. So hype woman number XYZ, because there's so many, right? So anyway, I won't take any more time, but good to see you, Irma. Good to see Deb and some of the folks that from 2017 to today for
Mhm.
me, right? So
Mhm. Yep.
a pleasure, and good
Yep.
to see everyone.
And Milan's hand is over there.
You're great.
Thank you.
Teresa and Milan were um, one of two mother-daughter pairs who came to the Successful Woman in 2019. And yeah, unfortunately, the other mother-daughter pair couldn't be here. Pat Long was a former board member as well. And so anyway, I'm just full of love. I'm full of gratitude. I'm just full of excitement for what's coming. I want to thank y'all for spending this Saturday morning with us. And if anybody has any last questions, feel free. Deb, you want to put the link for contact into the chat, and also the link for donations if people are so inclined. And we'll take any last questions or comments.
Yeah, I just want to close out here with, I put a bunch of links in there. I will make sure that all of the links and questions that came my way about how to email somebody, things like that, I will follow up with each of you. So when you said you're in Dublin, or you said you've got this, or you said you've got that, we'll make sure that we follow up. We'll also have the recording. I had somebody ask for the playlist. I will send you the playlist, because again, it's a party, so we always have good music. I want to say one thing that I heard. I always listen under the pieces. Every single person said, "This is what we're doing. This is what we're creating. This is what we are part of." And I feel like that's what sets this community apart from other communities that I've been part of. I've been part of nonprofits. I've been part of other places. Every single person, even if they're not part of quote unquote the team here, they said we. Teresa, you said it so beautifully over and over again. We. That's the piece that I think sets this work so far apart, is the people who come together. And that's a testament to you, Dr. Wells. Who you call forward is a testament to your ethos and your divine alignment of who you are. That when we step into that relationship, we know it's a we. It's not an I in collaboration with this other person. It's a we. And so it was said by many today. It is felt by many today. It is certainly why I step up year after year after year. It's because of the alignment of the way that you show up and lead, Monique. And that's what I think this community is so beautifully different about, which is why we could stand the test of time for 10 years during the pandemic, which is why no matter what's happening in the world, we'll just brush that off and move forward. We don't need to be in those systems. We create our own tables. So that's what makes this so beautiful. And so I felt that, I see it, I hear it, and I wanted to speak into that this is a we, and this is how we actually impact change. It's not an I next to you as an I, it's a we. So thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you. Yes, yes. I am never I. I mean, none of this could have happened without a we. And the day that that ceases to be true for me is the day that the Wells International Foundation will go away, provided that I'm still at the helm, obviously. So again, I just want to thank everyone who has ever given anything, an iota, to the work that we are doing. You are always welcome. You are always appreciated. You are embraced. And I just invite you to walk with us for the next 10 years of wonder that we are getting ready to generate.
All right, if you feel
With that,
comfortable, come off mute, say goodbye, au revoir. Let's have your voice actually into the recording. We'd love to hear you.
come on, y'all.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Au
Au revoir.
revoir.
Au
Au
revoir. Grand
revoir.
Rising. Grand Rising, everyone.
Au
Wow.
Thanks,
revoir.
everyone.
Au
Yes.
Bye.
revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. À
Yes.
bientôt.
Au revoir.
I love it. Everybody took
Au
me
revoir.
literally. I've got
Yes. Au revoir. Au revoir. Is there a song called Au revoir? I don't think so.
I love it so much. Thank you, everyone, so much from the
À
bottom of my
bientôt.
heart today. Yes.
A bientôt.
À bientôt.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
Ciao,
much,
ciao.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.